The Buffalo No Huddle brought to you by Genesee Community College and Vicarella's Pizzeria. Get your game time fix.
Well, that wasn't the ending I was hoping for, but that is the NFL. That's life with two really good teams slugging it out. Welcome to the Buffalo No Huddle. From the Batavia Daily News and Livingston County News, I'm Jimmy Jam from CJ Country. I host the morning show from 6 to 10. Along with me, Mark Tillery, the executive producer here of this show, and he also does all the cool creative stuff you see with the Batavia Daily News, video, audio, that type of stuff. But let's talk about the Bills and Titans. Before we dive into the finer points of the game, from 10,000 feet, what was your thought coming away from that game? It's a tough way to lose.
I like how you said dive into it because 4th and 1, I think, was an amazing call. So my hat's off to McDermott on that one. I mean, the Titans were the more physical team. They were the more intimidating team. And it was going to be a dogfight to the end. And unfortunately, Tennessee came out on top.
Well, here's the thing. My personality would have been, didn't mean I disagreed with the call because I really didn't. At the end of the day, I felt good after the game. I felt like this team did what they had to do. It just didn't work out. I never want points off the board when you got a chance to tie. But when you look at it, what's the alternative? A 50-50 chance. You get the ball back in overtime. Tennessee's been running on you all night.
Right.
Or just not even, I say running, but in reality, ever since that long touchdown run that Derrick Henry had for 72 yards, after that, he only had another 67. He was averaging 3.7 yards a carry. The Bills were clamping down on him. But here's what was happening is like, the secondary and linebackers for the Bills kept cheating up to stop Henry, and that's what left them open. There were some receptions that extended drives and kept the Titans in business. They kept scoring. So if you're McDermott, you're like, do I want to keep doing this, or do I win it now, have a 67% chance of converting? And, and Allen has made that more often than not, that short dive. He just has. Although, if I had it my way, he's 6'5". I want to send him over the top. I want him to reach over and extend himself.
The way they were headhunting him earlier in the game, I was scared for that. But I get where you're coming from on
I didn't see the headhunting, really. You thought you were really doing that, though? I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong. I just never saw that. They were headhunting him, you think?
Oh, they were definitely headhunting.
All right.
They were that Tennessee defense were bullies out there. I'm going to give them their credit. They were definitely an intimidating team. But when it comes down to it, I mean, you're setting up, and I hate to say it, say Buffalo even scores at that point, you're setting up for another flippin' Music City miracle. And the last thing I want to do is hear about that for the next 20
What are the chances it worked? They tried to do it once earlier in the game, and apparently somebody knows that a forward pass exists. Thank you, officials. Thank you for that finally.
It only took that many years to get those findings right.
Yeah, so there you go.
But, I mean, at the same point, I mean, you're talking, and you're 100% correct. I didn't want to go into overtime against that team. I didn't want to see the defense face that offense again because Tannehill is not the quarterback you think he is. Derrick Henry makes him look good because Henry not only played a hell of a game as a running back that night, with a little help from the officials, we'll talk about that, but he also was an amazing decoy, which made Buffalo play up, and that's what cost
Tannehill was a game manager more so than like the quarterback that took over in the game. At the end of the day, I don't feel bad about Buffalo's effort. It's like
not at all.
There's a conflux of elements that go into what happens and why a team wins and loses the game. And there's a lot of things on there, intangibles you can control, intangibles you can't control. I can't feel bad about it because I think if those teams went out again and played today, Buffalo will probably end up winning. You know what I mean? It's like
absolutely.
And there's some things we could point to, and we'll get into it a little bit. We'll get into it a little bit more. Why don't we do player awards right now? And then we're going to ask Alex Brasky here from the Batavia Daily News about his thoughts on the game. But who was your MVP? Who was the guy who came away as your MVP?
You know what? I really, really, really feel that Dawson Knox gave his all, especially with the razzle-dazzle plays. And who knew the end-around was going to happen? The tight end-around is what we're going to call it with Dawson Knox. But with a broken hand. With a broken freaking hand, he throws a two-point conversion. That's better than most quarterbacks in the That's better than most quarterbacks in the NFL. But with 7 receptions, 88 yards, and really being an X factor, I'm going to give it to Cole Beasley. He finally arrived on Monday night. He was a great weapon, and I talked about decoy a couple minutes ago. He was a great decoy for Buffalo that night, and really got some players open. I wish we would have seen more touchdowns because we left a lot of points in the red zone when
that is
threes could have been sixes.
That is the thing. It's like that's what this team's. This team's Achilles heels, along with 2 other I'm going to mention when we do our least valuable or at least our better luck next time awards. You got to get 7s, not 3s in this league. That's the thing.
I'm with that.
The first couple times those field goals, all of a sudden you turn those into 7s. That 8 points is the difference. and then you're singing a different story. You know what I mean?
Roll the film back to our older shows. I'd rather see Tyler Bass in the extra point end of things than out there lined up to win the game for Buffalo, because Buffalo has the offense, and there shouldn't have been those points left out there because it gave Tennessee a chance to really get a game plan together and just run Derrick Henry, because our Buffalo's defense was tired.
I have to say our receivers, Cole Beasley woke up. That was great. Well, actually, he was back in the game, to be fair. I shouldn't say woke up, because they went to 11 personnel this time. So he was back playing more, and they used him a lot. He had that.
It was a great game from Beasley, and I was happy
Diggs
to
had
see
a good game, too. Diggs had a good game.
Diggs arrived, too. I mean, obviously, that play for Sanders got called back, which we were upset about. But for the most part, I think that the receiving core had a great game. It's just, I wish, again, that they wouldn't have left those points in the red zone.
Tommy Sweeney catching that touchdown. Last year COVID knocked him out, and he didn't come back because it did something. I don't remember whether it was heart or lungs or whatever that stuff, but long-term effects from the COVID. He had to stop playing football last year. He's back, and he came in and caught that touchdown. Filled in nice when Knox was out. So I mean, you got to respect that.
It was great. How do you not appreciate the name Tommy Sweeney?
I know.
Tommy Sweeney for the touchdown. That was
cool. You know that Sweeney kid? Yeah, absolutely. All right, so my vote for most valuable player, I'm going to go with Josh Allen. Other than a couple misfires during the game, what more do you want him to do? He passed for 300 plus yards, 3 touchdowns. He does everything you need him to do. I thought he called a really good game. I thought he was confident out there, and I felt like, despite the letdowns, which we'll get into during the Better Luck Next Time awards, I think he persevered through that. It was a great effort by Josh, for sure. Now,
Tennessee was in his kitchen all night too. They were, and the fact that he turned that around into touchdowns and turned that around into opportunities. Obviously, Josh Allen's a close second for me.
That's why we're going to go with our Better Luck Next Time, which is not a nice way of saying least valuable. What's your choice?
I love this kid. Don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. I have had his back all year long, but with 8 carries for 24 yards and 2 receptions for 15. And not a lost fumble, but a fumble. Zach Moss just didn't bring it to the Monday night lights like I thought he would.
Not having a feature back that's a little bit better than the 2 we have right now is problematic for me. You do need it in this NFL. Granted, we are a pass-first offense, but we really need a great running back, because imagine if we had somebody even marginally better. But some of that, again, is going to go back to my choice for Better Luck Next Time. We got systemic problems in the interior of the offensive line. It's a 2-parter. I'm going to give you a 2-parter.
I agree.
Against Pittsburgh and against Tennessee. Teams that bring rush interior on the line and bring pressure cause the most problems. We got a problem on the interior line. They have not done their job this season offensively and defensive line. Do you realize out of the 6 games we've played so far, only 2 games we've gotten outside pressure rushing off the edge? Hughes has been good this season, but obviously he's getting up there in years. Rousseau didn't give us the push this week we were hoping for. But for the most part, this team lacks a superstar pass rusher. We don't have enough. Tannehill's the most sacked quarterback in the league. How do we not get to him the other night?
I can't believe a team that got beat by the Jets we couldn't beat. Or Buffalo couldn't.
Well, it's a week-to-week league, and keep in mind, how many players did Tennessee have on IR, or not on IR, but injured? They had like 17 players that were out during the Jets game. They were getting healthier as they came back to this game, playing at home. Sometimes things,
It was one of those weeks in the NFL. We saw the Chargers fall, and who expected them to fall?
Because I saw that, it made me mad. Somebody made that Jets comparison. I'm like, that was a different story a few weeks ago. They were really banged up. I mean, I
keep forgetting how injuries do affect these teams, and just
when it's that wholesale, it absolutely does.
Right.
So my Better Luck Next Time is like, look, we need a better pass rush, and we need better interior blocking, because that's going to affect how Moss and Singletary do as well too. You got to open holes for them. They can't just create holes. They're not big backs. Like
Rousseau will be that player one day. Obviously, they got the pressure on Tannehill early, but again, it goes back to the red zone. It goes back to not putting up 7 and only putting up 3.
They wanted big bodies out there for Henry. They really prepared for him. So in other words, maybe you'd have some speed off the edge. You'd have Epinesa, who is inactive, Boogie Basham, inactive. So maybe that's where it comes from. Maybe that's why. But they've got to figure that out. And the trading deadline is week 8.
Yeah. But
I would like to see.
There's plenty of time for that, though, because I've said it to a lot of the mafia that was talking on these on Facebook and whatnot and on social media about why'd they go for it on 4th and 1. I would rather come out of this with the loss and learn from it than walk away after Super Bowl 25 and the season was over. Dreams were over after that. So this Buffalo Bills team will be great. We just got to give them time to gel and get it together, because Tennessee was one of those Pittsburgh teams. They just brought it to them defensively, and they were schoolyard bullies, hands down.
I want to get Alex Brasky in this conversation here while we're on the subject of this and before we jump into our Bro Seriously stuff. So, Alex, look, the Bills needed to be better both on offensive and defensive lines, at least I think. I'd like to get your perspective on it. If you could fix only one side going forward right now, you only get to choose one, what do you fix, the offense or defensive lines?
It's no secret the Bills need to improve along the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, but if I could only improve one side of the ball, it would have to be that defensive line. The Bills spent plenty of draft capital in the offseason looking to improve their pass rush, and at times it's shown flashes, but overall, it just has not gotten the job done, including last week against Ryan Tannehill, where the Bills' pass rush failed to impact the game at all and allowed Tannehill to sit back there relatively unscathed and pick apart the Bills' defense during the second half and ultimately lead Tennessee to a victory. Although Derrick Henry was really the reason for the Titans' victory, Tannehill's ability to sit in that pocket untouched and unbothered really made things easy for the Titans offense down the stretch. A.J. Epinesa was inactive for that game. It looked like the Bills were trying to come up with a game plan to stop Derrick Henry, and truly it didn't work, and leaving Epinesa and rookie Bookie Basham in the inactive list really made things difficult for the Bills' pass rush this past week. But moving forward, they really need to get things together if they hope to win these games down the stretch against quality divisional leaders such as the Titans.
Nick Ficarella, the Pizza Making University.
One more question for Alex now that we're back. But first things first, let's do our Bro Seriously Award. It's the thing that happens in the game or maybe outside the game that makes you shake your head and go, bro, seriously? What was yours?
This not only was outside the game, this happened this past Sunday, the other Mahomes.
A different game.
A different game, a different time, the other Mahomes. You're not even representing your brother.
Oh, not his brother. Or is it his wife?
Oh,
or is it the mom?
There's too many. We're not talking.
Are they fair game? I need to know if they're fair game.
They are fair game
All
because, look, you're not even representing the team colors. You're wearing an Energizer Bunny pink hoodie.
This is Jackson. We're talking about the brother.
Oh, I didn't even want to mention his name because that gives him clout. The whole point is he's dancing on Sean Taylor's memorial. I've seen everybody talk about it. I've seen everybody say, oh, they put them in the ropes. This is where
they roped him into a section. The logo was there, and his lack of self-awareness, he decided he was going to do a dumb dance. By the way, look, no one's going to put me on a calendar, but who told you could dance? You are TikTok sad. I give it a D-. I give it a 45, and you can't dance to it.
Since you said his name, it's going to be like Voldemort. Jackson Mahomes, do yourself a favor, get a time machine, go back, get yourself a copy of Darren Stansgroove's.
So you know what?
Just stay off the field.
Yeah.
Seriously, bro.
And
Renegade.
stop dumping water bottles on fans who you don't like their
Or
opinion.
seriously, little bro.
Yes, little bro.
Little bro.
He was doing the coattail shuffle. I hear all the kids are into it right now. They're all learning it. Yeah.
Take toxic, man.
Nice. When you talk about my bro seriously, I'm going to go back to the officials, but not for what you think I would go to the officials for. It wasn't for bad calls, because I think they do tend to go both ways in a game. And I hate to make that the excuse. I want to go to them for how long does it take you to make a decision? How many times were even the announcers going, are we going to get a decision here, guys? They were huddled up. They were talking to each other, conferring, and then this guy's got an opinion, this and that. It's like it's supposed to move the game along. I mean, the indecision with all the tools they have nowadays, and they don't know whether to you-know-what or wind their watch. I mean, come on. Make a call, move on.
Look, man, it's no secret that we were basically watching an LTD concert with all the holding on that was going on there. Like, they literally watched that big 70-yard run, 70-plus yard by Henry, null and void. I mean, I'm not saying that as a Buffalo Bills fan. I'm saying that as somebody that watched two holding calls happen right in front of everybody, and the officials didn't call it.
The officials didn't call it probably because it was happening so fast. It was a bang-bang play, and it was behind the play. So they may not have seen it because they're watching what's happening with the flow of the play. In real time, those are judgment calls, and they're hard to go back and look at. By the same token, you know what I mean? It's you got the kickoff return. There was that call there and stuff. I mean, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. You got to score more points. And so, you know what I mean? The referees can't control the 8 points that we left on the field, or that the Bills left on the field. Now I'm saying we. Now you got me doing we. The 8 points.
We are fans first. We're fans first.
The 8 points that at the beginning of the game, they should have got touchdowns instead of field goals, especially off that pick. that's the difference in the ball game. Then the penalties don't matter. They don't matter.
At least we didn't say Luan played for us.
No. What was it? Oh, you're referencing the guy from ESPN?
Yeah, man.
You gotta let people know these references so they know what they're talking about. The guy from ESPN.
It was all over the place.
Who was that guy? I don't even know who he was.
It was Broussard, I want to say, but he
said Taylor Lewan played for Buffalo when he was doing it. So he got a couple things wrong, so people.
And
were
that
giving him
might have
grief.
made the difference in Josh Allen getting us that game win. So
He messaged me like, bro, we never make mistakes like that on the show. I'm like,
and getting back to the
you don't watch the replay of the show. For a guy who edits it, you don't watch the replay of the show. Mistakes all over the place.
Getting back to the Jackson Mahomes thing,
Okay.
I knew something was up because this man is a saint. He never complains, and I'm not talking the Drew Brees kind. He never talks smack about anybody. I can honestly tell you that. But if I get a little blip on my messenger on Sunday and I see a video of Jackson Mahomes dancing, I know it's fair game.
I want you to be tweaked about the right things. You know what I mean? Because he doesn't love TikTok. I found all the good stuff on TikTok, and he just thinks it's dancing videos. Well, guess what? I found the worst dancing video ever by Nepotism Central. So I had to pass it along to him and let him know about it. So
Go back to the privileged cheap seats like MC Hammer had to.
let's get Alex in on this because I got a question now. We know about the problem I brought up on offensive and defensive. We talked about is there anything else the Bills could use right now? They don't necessarily have a big name back or somebody that's big that could help them out. So, Alex, with the trading deadline now in Week 8 instead of Week 6 like it was, do you think the Bills go out and get anything? And if they do, what do they go get?
Following the Titans game in my 5 takeaways column available at thedailynewsonline.com, I wrote that it may behoove the Bills to go out and find a pass rusher on the trade market before the deadline, and I think that's exactly what Brandon Beane has to do. The Bills have a young and up-and-coming pass rush working for them, but they really don't have that one signature talent up front that can get after the quarterback on any given play, and I believe that is what's missing from this Bills defense that has performed near the top of the league thus far this season. Jerry Hughes is getting older. Mario Addison has really been a non-factor in the pass rush this season, and the Bills are just without that one dominant player up front, and if Brandon Beane can go out and address that need before the trade deadline, I think that would be big for the Bills.
Choose a school where the arts come alive, where science and technology thrive, to create something extraordinary. No matter which path you choose, GCC gives you the tools to start your next journey. Because when you choose GCC, your time is now.
So going forward, we don't have a game this upcoming week to talk about with the bye week. So next week we'll come back and
You can sleep. You can finally sleep.
Goodness, we could chop up their upcoming game against the Dolphins now that they'll have Tua Tagovailoa back, and we'll talk about what that means. But we'll shelve it for next week. Let's talk about real quick looking at the schedule going forward. I want to take you back to last year, going into the bye week. A Hail Mary pass against the Cardinals. The Bills went in, lost. They took a loss they shouldn't have taken, but they took that loss into the bye week, came back and did not lose again until the AFC Championship game. So here's an opportunity, and I think it will be an opportunity. This team does learn from stuff that happens and adversity. I think they're going to come back on a mission. You look at the schedule coming up, and if you've got it up here on the screen, we can take a look at it here. But they're coming back to Miami on Halloween. Jacksonville's next. Then they're at the Jets. Then they've got Indy at home. Then they go on the road to New Orleans, which you never know what you're going to get week to week with them, but for the most part,
Right.
I can make a prediction. Then New England is going to be happening on Monday Night Football at home. And then Tampa Bay coming up December 12th, and that's in Tampa Bay. Going to be a tough game there. You know, that could very well be an L.
Tampa Bay is one of those smash mouth teams, just like the Ravens will be, just like Pittsburgh was, and just like Tennessee was. Buffalo has to be ready. The road to the Super Bowl goes through Buccaneers territory.
Before you get to that Tampa Bay game, there's a chance right there, another 6 wins, so that gets you to 10, and maybe, even at the worst, Tampa Bay's another loss. You're 10-3 right now. I said the Bills are going to be 12-5 this season. They got a chance to be better than that. They'll have Tampa Bay. Then they've got Carolina on a game that, day and time to be determined in Week 15. And then New England. They're at New England. And then they got Atlanta and the Jets to finish out the season. There's no reason why they couldn't be, if they do everything right, be 15-2 or 14-3. It could still be that way. It's losses like this that may help them redefine who they are and say, we got to work on A, B, and C. You know what I mean? You got to meet the best in the conference to know where you are in the conference. And they got to keep winning.
Yeah.
And, hopefully they keep winning. Some of these other conference opponents punch each other out. The Titans play the Chiefs this week. I can't believe I'm going to be rooting for Kansas City, but for the sake of the conference, I am.
I can't root for Kansas City. I can't.
Against Tennessee, we need them because they got a game they got a half game. They got the tiebreaker over us right now. I need a Kansas City win.
Yeah, you're right.
I need the defense to
I can't let it be personal against Mahomes.
Although I can't picture Kansas City's defense the way it is stopping Henry right now. Not without baseball bats and some chains.
Look, Henry. Buffalo proved they could stop Henry in open field. I mean, I saw.
Other than that long run they have over 4 games, they literally have held him like 60 or 50 yards each of those 4 games.
Who stopped him on that train run that he was pulling some Tecmo type moves? It was it
Micah Hyde.
I thought it was Micah Hyde.
I was just like, please let his shoulder be okay. Please let his shoulder be okay. Please let his shoulder be okay.
Oh my goodness, yeah. It was definitely. I mean, we all held our breath when Henry got in open field. But I think what it comes down to is
going forward,
they lost to Pittsburgh. They lost to smash-mouth football teams. I mean, I hate to use that term, but they lost to physical, intimidating football teams.
I don't think they're weak. They just have deficiencies within the line. I don't think it's the team's not tough. I think they're very tough.
That team is growing together, and I said this. I said I would say this before the show. Buffalo's going to be all right, hands down. I think we got it. Buffalo's got to get through the Tampa Bay game. That's the one game I'm worried about. I know New England might be surprising on a Monday night. You never know. But it's the teams like Tampa Bay that you might meet in the Super Bowl, and the teams like the Titans you might meet in the playoffs is where you need to build yourself around and know that you can win these games.
Good teams stumble. Think about the Patriots back when the Bills waxed them 31-0 back in 2002 or whatever that was, and then they went on to win the Super Bowl.
You gave me full stats of that.
That is how it happens sometimes. And you know what? Monday night wasn't a disaster. They played another good team and almost won it. And almost won it despite all of it. So you have to keep it in perspective.
We could be upset about that loss, but it was an amazing game. It was a learning experience, and it was not the end of the season.
So that's where we stand with things. So you're sort of getting 2 shows truncated in separate parts because this is bye week. We're going to just relax. I'm going to watch TV on 3 screens like I usually do at home.
That's a great thing.
And I'm gonna do that, and we're gonna come back next Thursday, and we'll break down the Miami game and talk about it because the dynamics do change. You know, just because the Bills won 35-0 last time, I'm predicting a closer game this time with Tunga Vailoa. But we'll get into that and we'll talk about that. And Dawson Knox, if you somehow see this, rest that hand, bro. Stimulate, get that stim, get with the ice, do whatever they're asking you to do. Just be ready to come back. We need that passing arm. That's all I'm trying to say.
A shout out to our sponsor, Genesee Community College.
Yes.
Buffalo needs to go to school this week. They need to make sure they go back. They read the film. They watch the film. They watch these games. The games they lost, they need to look at that. They need to learn from that because fact of the matter is, you're coming back. You're playing a Miami team that's hungry to get even with you.
Oh, wait a minute, and you said hungry, so I'll put Ficarella's in there as our other sponsor then. It's time to eat up and get yourself a game time fix this weekend. The Bills aren't playing, so your stomach will be nice and settled, so go grab a za. That is it for the Buffalo No Huddle. I am Jimmy Jam from CJ Country. Morning 6 to 10, please listen, because macaroni and cheese costs money. He's Mark Tillery from the Batavia Daily News, executive producer of this show. We'll see you next week, and as always, go Bills.